Welcome to Love and Tears. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and like. It only takes a few seconds, but it is the motivation that helps us continue to bring you powerful and heart-touching real-life stories. And now please join me in today's story. I am 34 years old. Honestly, I never thought I would be the type of woman who could betray my husband. I used to sit there, watch others cheat and judge, thinking that I was more moral, stronger, that cheating was only for weak people. I have a good marriage, a good family, strong values. I was sure that cheating would never happen to me. But I was wrong. This is the story of how I realized that anyone, even a woman like me, can fall into a situation they never thought would happen. My husband Daniel and I have been married for 9 years. We have a 6-year-old son, Ethan, a house we're paying off, and what I thought was a solid marriage. Daniel works as an electrician, a tough job with erratic hours. I work in marketing for a mid-sized company downtown. We're not rich, but we're comfortable. Our marriage has become boring. About every 2 months, we go out to dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant, then watch a movie, usually with both of us falling asleep. Gradually, we stopped really seeing each other. Daniel comes home from work, showers, eats dinner, helps Ethan with his homework, and then falls asleep in front of the TV. I do all the housework, bills, schedules, shopping. We live like roommates, keeping our household running smoothly. Sex guys. It's down to about twice a month. Quickly disconnected, more like a habit than a bond. I began to feel invisible. Not just to Daniel, but to the world. I was Ethan's mom, Daniel's wife, and not myself. After Ethan's birth, I gained weight, lost confidence, and no longer felt attractive. I wore comfortable clothes, kept my hair simple, and almost ignored feeling desired. Then everything changed when the company hired a new marketing director, Adrian. He was 36, divorced, and had just moved from Chicago. On the first day, during a presentation about the Q3 campaign, Adrian interrupted me. Not rudely, but excitedly. That's a great idea. Tell me more about the psychology behind that approach. Oh my gosh, how long had it been since someone called my idea great? I blushed. I, a woman who seemed to have receded into the background of life, was suddenly seen. After that day, Adrian often stopped by my office. At first to discuss work, but then the conversation always drifted to more personal things. The books I read, my views on this city, my little hobbies. When we talked, his eyes made me feel like I was the only one in the room. Then the first touch happened after 3 weeks. I was showing him the computer screen. He put his hand on my back to keep his balance. It was a small touch, but for me, it was like an electric current running down my spine. The hand lingered longer than necessary, and when it left, I felt sorry. That night, as Daniel sat watching football and I folded clothes, all I could think about was that hand. I felt guilty, but I also felt alive again. The touches became more frequent, hands on my shoulders as I stood near my desk, fingers brushing against my desk as I handed over documents, knees pressed together under the conference table. I could have avoided them, but I didn't want to. And it wasn't just physical. Adrian texted me after work, first about work, then about life. He talked about his divorce, his loneliness, and how lucky he was to have me as a good friend. And I said things I'd never dared to say, that I felt invisible in my marriage, that I craved the feeling of being wanted. One evening, while Daniel was giving Ethan a bath, Adrian texted, "You're an amazing woman, Anna. Daniel is so lucky. I hope he knows that." I burst into tears, both because it had been so long since anyone had said that to me, and because I knew Daniel didn't feel that way anymore. That evening after dinner on the town, Adrian drove straight to the Marriott. My heart was pounding in my chest. He handed me a white key card, printed with the number 412. "We don't have to say much," he whispered, his eyes both pleading and burning. "Just if you want it." I held the card in my hand. It was small, fragile, but it weighed like a mountain on my heart. I stepped into the hotel lobby, the faint scent of perfume, the soft yellow lights, the piano music from the corner. Everything seemed to urge me forward. A voice in my head said, "Just this once, Anna. No one will know. You deserve to be desired to be wanted." But then my phone rang. It was Ethan. My son's little voice came through the speaker. "Mommy, can we have macaroni tonight? And remember that Lego castle we're building? I saved your spot." I choked up. Just one sentence, but I was suddenly awakened from a trance. The image of his bright eyes, his little hand holding mine, his giggling voice. It all came flooding back. I looked up at Adrian. He was standing there, waiting, hoping. But in that moment, I realized if I walked through that door to room 412, I would lose more than I could ever imagine. Not just my marriage, not just Daniel, my family, my very self. I shakily handed the card back. "I can't." Adrian's face darkened for a moment. Then he nodded. "I understand. I just want you to be happy." I turned away, my heart heavy, but my feet light. I knew I had just given up a sweet intoxication, but at the same time, I had kept the most important thing. The following weeks were terrible. The office was cramped, the looks were forced, the silences were awkward. I avoided Adrian's eyes, and he kept his distance. Sometimes I wondered, would I regret it? But every night when Ethan hugged me goodnight, when Daniel sat tired, but still told me about his day at work, I knew I had made the right choice. I started to put effort into my marriage. At first, it was small things, sitting down to eat breakfast with Daniel, instead of rushing, sending him a text in the middle of the day, just to ask, "How are you?" Then bigger things, planning an evening, just for the two of us, letting Ethan sleep over at his grandmother's. We started dating again. It was awkward at first, but gradually the conversations became more natural. One night, while we were washing dishes together, Daniel suddenly put his hand on my shoulder, squeezing it gently. "I know I've been inconsiderate lately, but I don't want to lose you." I looked into his eyes for the first time in years and saw a familiar light. "I don't want to lose you either." From that day on, we learned how to touch each other, how to laugh together, how to make love without just being an obligation. And in those simple moments, I understood love is not always an explosion, but sometimes a daily choice, a commitment repeated over and over again. A year later, Adrian moved on to another company. There was no long farewell, just a short email, "Wishing you happiness, Anna. I believe you made the right choice." And then on our 10th wedding anniversary, Daniel and I stood in front of our family and friends, holding hands and renewing our vows. I choked up as I said, "Today, I understand more than ever what it means to give up everyone else. And I choose you, Daniel, every day, forever." He wiped the tears from my cheeks, smiled, "Me too. Forever." My friends, that was the journey I went through. I was at the edge, almost lost everything. But I chose to go back. And it was that choice that saved my marriage, that gave me the chance to love again with the man I had built my life with. If you are listening and see yourself in this story, remember, temptation can be sweet, but the consequences are cruel. Sometimes what we need is not a new person, but a fresh start with the old one. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. Have you ever faced a difficult choice like mine? I look forward to hearing your story. And if this story touches your heart, please like and subscribe to the Love and Tears channel so that together we can walk through the pain and find healing.